Good morning to all of you who are interested in bird watching. Once again, we are here with Mr. Alan Hale to continue our conversation about bird watching. This morning, we are in Nelson County. We are at the top of Afton Mountain, and Mr. Hale is going to give us an introduction into what our video will be about today.
Great. Well, this is so much fun to be with you again, Rita. And what we are here, as you can see, there is a board that shows a variety of hawk species. And every year at this time, from late August all the way through to Thanksgiving, hawk migration takes place, which means birds of prey, raptors, which includes eagles, broad-winged hawks, buteos they're called, accipiters, which are the sharp-shinned hawks, and falcons. So this is a very significant spot because this was first used to watch hawks in 1975. So this is the 50th anniversary of the hawk watch up here. And it's been going on since then. As you can see, there are a large group of people here that are sitting with binoculars, and we're all waiting for the clouds to lift so the birds will start coming through. So one of the many interesting things about that we've learned from this hawk watch over the years, and I've been involved with it for many years, is the changes in some of these bird populations. 40 years ago, approximately, was the first time we saw a bald eagle flying over this gap, Rockfish Gap, and that was very exciting. Last year they had almost 500 bald eagles migrating right along this route here. So I'll tell you a little bit about why this is good. We're on the Blue Ridge Mountains, and many of these birds go far south in the fall to spend the winters away from the United States in this area, and then every spring they come back. But the fall migration is when you are able to see the greatest numbers. The hawk that is the most numerous here is the broad-winged hawk, and that is a hawk that actually nests in Nelson County, but not commonly. Most of them go farther north, and at this time of year they are moving from here all the way to South America, which is amazing, and they really spend most of the winter in the Amazon basin. So those are some of the things that brings all these people here, is to see them, because it is possible at this time of year to see as many as 10,000 birds passing by this spot. And not only do we have this dozen species of raptors, as they are called, or birds of prey, but also there are many other birds that are migrating that are smaller and more difficult to see. Warblers, vireos, thrushes. All of these are birds we consider our native birds, but they are also migratory birds. They go south in the winter. So unfortunately, this building that we're standing next to has been abandoned for a number of years, and even so, all the hawk watchers come here because it's such a special place. And the owners of this property have always been very supportive of our being able to be here as volunteers. And all of the results of this are tabulated by the site coordinator, who I hope you will see coming out. He's now looking for warblers, waiting for the clouds to lift. Anyway, those results are all compiled every day and sent to the Hawk Migration Association of North America, HMANA as it's called. And these results are published. And this is a very crude means of determining changes in population, but it is since it's been done over so many years, it does provide valuable information. One of the things about watching hawks up here is when they're high up in the sky, you can see these folks with telescopes and everything, and sometimes it's described as looking for pepper in the sky, which means that it's very hard to identify them unless you're experienced with the effort. So what, have you been up here before to see this hawk watch?
I've never been up to see the hawk watch. I've just come up periodically to take a look out at the wonderful views out there, and just taking a look at how this once magnificent hotel on top of the mountain has fallen into disrepair, and hoping that one day I will come up and we will see that it's all being renovated and will attract more people to come here and visit this part of the county, and hopefully come up and take a look at the sign and decide that they want to hang around a while and look for some hawks.
Yeah, that would be great. I mean, this is really a significant place. It's the inn is actually built. It was called what was the Holiday Inn was what it was called for a long time, and it was actually built right on the boundary line between Augusta County and Nelson County. And what's sort of interesting about that is that I'm a land surveyor professionally, or was, retired now, is that there was a dispute between Augusta County and Nelson County who's going to get the tax revenue from this inn on the mountain. So they hired Paul Saunders, who was a well-known surveyor in Nelson County, and Saunders Brothers, to come up and survey it. And they found, well, the line goes right through the property. So they decided that the restaurant portion, which is on the Nelson side, well, they would get all the revenue from that, and Augusta would get the revenue from the lodging. So that's a little off the subject of birds.
That's okay, but that's a pretty amicable, fair way to divvy it up, I guess.
And it would certainly be a great thing to, as you said, to have this place become the goal that it could be. I mean, it's just a magnificent spot here. Some of the hawks that people might be interested in are the group that are called accipiters, and these are the two that we see most commonly in Virginia, especially in migration: the sharp-shinned hawk and the Cooper's hawk. And in the past century, 100 years ago, more than 100 years ago, these birds were called chicken hawks because they eat other birds. So that was not very popular. But they really don't have much of an impact on chicken populations. And it turns out that, as with most wild species, they have benefits, and they do not cause the harm that they've been charged with. And those two, the sharp-shinned hawk is smaller than the Cooper's hawk, and they are difficult to differentiate until you have some practice on it, which is one of the great things about here. You can get a lot of practice with it. Some of the birds that most people are familiar with, one is the osprey, which is also known as the fish hawk, and that is one that has in recent years expanded its range up the James River. I know they are nesting on the James River across from Nelson County, and there may even be one in Nelson County nesting. And there are bald eagles nesting in Nelson County. So that hawk has got a very distinctive, it's very white underneath, but it has an elbow that you can see when they're in flight. The smallest bird that comes through here is actually a falcon, and actually I think maybe the merlin is a touch smaller than the American kestrel, and that's just a hawk not much bigger than 7 or 8 inches, and They are very fast flyers. And then one of the most exciting ones, which is the peregrine falcon. Let me see if I can find it on here. It should be on here somewhere. I don't see it right offhand. That is oh, there it is, yes. It has this dark face pattern, and that bird was virtually wiped out, along with bald eagles and osprey populations were all set way back, almost extirpated by the use of DDT, and that was something that no one realized until they saw that prevented them from being successful in their nesting. And as a result of the banning of DDT, the bird populations, as we know well from the bald eagles that come through here, but all of these birds that have fed on fish and so forth have improved their lives.
Have all of these species of birds on this poster here been spotted flying over this area?
Absolutely. All of these have been flying over this site. There are a few of them that are not nesting in this area. The golden eagle, which is a magnificent bird, is more of a western bird than it is here in the east. But every year we have some come through here, and you also have some of that species that you can find in the winter in Highland County, west of here. Then the other birds that are fairly new for coming this far north are the Mississippi kite, which, as its name says, well, it's a long way from Mississippi right now. And that bird has now been found nesting in several locations in Virginia. So we see a few of those, but it's a very uncommon bird here. And I think that is most of them. The northern harrier is another bird that you see in the lowlands. Now you see everyone's getting very excited now, but they are finding a hawk. And what happens with these hawks? They come to this place. Why are they doing this? They're looking for ways to get higher in the air. And so that's what they're looking for as the sun comes out and warms the earth. These hawks are not early birds. They wait, and then they start circling in these thermals, uplifting warm air, and then when they get to the top, they sail on south. And so that's what we're waiting for here, particularly these rocky face that you see on the other side of Interstate 64. That's where we look on that ridge to find these birds. And by this afternoon, these clouds will lift. And I expect there will be a large number of these birds coming through then.
So tell me a little bit more about the gear that you all are using. In our last video, which for those of you that are watching this video, if you have not seen the first video that Alan and I did on beginning bird watching, go to our JMRL YouTube channel and look for the beginning bird watching with Alan Hale video. But can you elaborate a little bit more on the type of gear that you all are using here to watch for the hawks?
Absolutely. Of course, the same as we discussed before, binoculars, you know. And here they are often a higher power, like a 10 power as opposed to an 8 power. So everyone here will have binoculars. But as you can see, there are a number of telescopes on tripods. And these give you an opportunity for much greater magnification and are very important for being able to see these birds when they're way up in the sky looking like peppers, as I said. So that's why you will see this number of telescopes all ready when someone spots one to put the scope on it so they can make the identification, because they're hard to identify when they're way off in the distance. All you need. But as you can see, this is a hawk bird watching that is very relaxed. All of these lawn chairs that you have, they don't look like they're working very hard to me. This gentleman that's just approaching, who is Vic Lelbach, and he is the coordinator of this hawk watch, and he has to compile all of the records and submit them. And so now he's coming back and has assured me that as soon as he is here, the hawks are going to start flying over. Vic, why don't you come and say hello to them? This is Yulita Ellis of the Nelson Memorial Library.
Nice to meet you.
too.
Thank you for participating in our video. Alan and I did our first video last year. No, actually it's been several years because it was during COVID, when the library was closed, and so most of our programming options were virtual. And so we videotaped a bird watching, short beginning bird watching video outside at the library, and it's garnered us 22,000 views. So we wanted to do a second video for our bird watching enthusiasts who have been interested in our first video. We thought we'd offer them a little something different this time. And so here we are up here on top of Afton Mountain at the Rockfish Gap Hawk Watch. And it's very fascinating what I'm learning about what you all are doing over here.
Yeah. So what do you want to know?
So how long have you been bird watching?
Well, I've been bird watching all my life, since a teenager. Here, probably 16 years. And I became the coordinator about 10 years ago.
Okay. And do you live in Virginia?
Yeah, I live in Waynesboro.
In Waynesboro, okay.
Yep. Well, you can see the fog behind me, right?
Yes.
Well, we need that to lift.
Okay.
So we're waiting impatiently.
Okay. It looks like you all are enjoying yourselves while you're waiting.
Yeah, it's relaxing. It's a pretty casual atmosphere up here.
And even with the fog being on the mountain, as we pan around to see that it is slowly lifting,
It is lifting.
It's absolutely beautiful place to be.
Yeah, we should start seeing some hawks any minute, especially out there.
Now
We're waiting for the big movement.
Now I have a question. Once you see one and they're flying around, about how long do they stay airborne in this area? Because Alan was explaining to me the purpose of this area in particular is so that they can gain some height, which gives them momentum to almost sail south on, I guess, the winds that are going to help push them the higher up they go.
Yeah, there are different hawks fly different ways, but the buteos, it's a family of hawks including broadwings and redtails. They love to ride on the thermals, which is the warm air. So when they find a thermal, which is the warm air rising, they get a free ride up high. And then once the thermal dissipates, then they just glide south, and sometimes for many miles, 10 miles. And then as they're gliding, they slowly lose altitude. And then when they get low enough, they'll look for another thermal and do it all the way to South America if they can. They try that, but that doesn't always happen.
That's very interesting.
But they need to save energy.
Yes.
If they don't save energy, they won't make it.
So I'm assuming that, especially since this place has almost become abandoned and there isn't a lot of traffic, or as much as it once was, I imagine that nature being nature, you have critters that have made up here maybe their habitat, maybe rabbits, mice, that sort of thing. I know some of these predator birds eat other birds, but for those that might feed on field mice and that sort of thing, would you say this is an area that they could also feed along their journey?
Sure, they feed whenever they get really hungry, but I don't think they feed a lot. Most of the people think that they don't spend a lot of time hunting. They do all the hunting they could possibly do before they start. They fatten up so that they don't have to waste a lot of time. And but they'll hunt, especially the broadwings when they come down and roost in the woods, in the trees. They're right there amongst their habitat for finding food. Now red-tails might drift off on the fields or kestrels to hunt a mouse if they're hungry, but for the most part here they stick to the ridges. They don't really stop to feed a lot. We have witnessed a merlin capture a blue jay in midair, and he captured it. He carried it down about a couple hundred yards in a tree and started eating it. But so the falcons have it easy. They can. It's like a drive-through for them. They can eat on the wing.
Wow, that's fascinating.
But as we may have mentioned earlier, this is also a migratory path for all of these songbirds and other. I mean, it's just a migratory corridor along the Blue Ridge Mountains, and in the case of the songbirds, especially, those birds prepare for this long migration by gaining weight and fat, so that they don't have to eat all the time. And I think that's probably true of raptors to a certain extent.
Sure.
So what we're going to be looking for now is as the clouds rise, and
Here's a hawk. Here's a hawk
Okay.
right here. Our first hawk.
All right, see it? Right there.
It's a broad-winged hawk coming in.
Wow. Look at that. Bravo.
All right, so the day has started.
Okay.
You can still pick it up with the naked eye. Now, again, it's all right, and see now that one is going to start to circle. See it circling there? And it's over where that tractor trailer is. It's difficult to see these birds, of course, with the video because they're not very close.
Yes. So as the clouds are lifting, I can see that everybody's got their binoculars out, and we've spotted the first hawk flying over. So you all get really excited when the clouds start to lift, and you can start to see. I still see that one just just flying above the clouds and going into the clouds.
See, and it's gaining elevation.
So that's why he's circled. Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
so he's on a bit of a lift
Okay.
because the sun hasn't hit here yet. It's a little slow getting that elevation, and probably in the next several minutes you'll see it break, and it will move all the way across the horizon towards the south.
Yeah, so he'll be in South America probably in 3 weeks. Yeah, he and all his thousands of friends.
So once they get there, is that where they lay? Is that where what do they do?
That's just where they live during the winter.
They live during the
During
winter.
our winter. They just live there and survive.
Okay.
Their job is they disperse and they hide and stay safe and just live and wait till spring to come back and breed.
Okay, so they do come back
Yeah.
north, and that's where they breed and hatch. Okay.
Yeah,
That's
it's all
right.
driven by loss of their food supply. Because the broadwings, especially, eat on small ground animals, like mostly amphibians and reptiles. And when the winter comes, they all disappear. So they have no choice. They either die or they leave. And they've learned over the millions of years to leave and come back.
One of the things that's interesting, these identifications are hard, but here's this broad-winged hawk. This is an adult, and you see these black and white bands on the tails, so that's one of the easier ones to identify. It's not a large hawk, but they're wonderful birds, of course. Now that one is probably going on.
So Alan, I noticed here on the bottom of the banner here, there's some information on landmarks and various things like that. Can you explain that to us just a little bit?
Yeah, Vic ought to tell us about that. He knows these he doesn't have to look at the map anymore.
Well, this is just a labeling of different landmarks from what we see out here.
Mm-hmm.
And when someone finds a hawk, they want to let others know about it. So they say, where is it? Well, you use the landmarks. You see, I have a hawk that's over top the brick plant. or it's up over the tall tree, so everyone can get on it quickly and try and help identify it. And that's what those are for.
Okay. That's wonderful. So that's what we're looking at the map. And so as we pan out and look out, we can see that the clouds are lifting, and we can look through at some of the landmarks that are on the map. And everyone has on the lookout. They're watching.
The sun's finally out, so the birds are going to start flying.
Pause it a little bit. So Rockfish Gap Hawk Watch is one of several all through the eastern U.S. and the west, for that matter, where these hawk counts take place. The person who was most important, I think, in establishing these in Virginia was a woman from Lynchburg named Miriam Moore. And for many years, there is a site on the Blue Ridge Parkway south of here, southwest of here, called Harvey's Knob. And she watched there many, many years. And in fact,
osprey coming in right over.
Okay. So now we're talking about an osprey.
An osprey.
And where is it, Vic?
It's over top of the brick plant now, flying over the water tower. Low over the hump, flapping away.
An osprey. Oh my, wow.
But I didn't see it.
He's just to the right of the cell tower.
Okay.
He's going to
right of the
He's going to hit the cell tower, go right over it.
Okay.
Right now.
There it is. There it is indeed. So all that is just a little speck. And how Vic got the ID, he'll have to tell you.
Oh, I do see something
So,
flying
yeah,
about
if
going
it
in and out of the
turns
clouds.
and see that white underneath, that's
Wow.
the one bird that will have this clear white belly, you know, and crooks in the wings.
So do you all coordinate your sightings the further, along the route?
Every day, all of these various hawk watches post the results of the preceding day. And so that's where they keep track of the numbers. You can probably name the ones that are on the Blue Ridge here.
Well, Alan mentioned Harvey's Knob down near Roanoke. We're here at Rockfish Gap. North of us is a small one called Snickers Gap. And then you move into Pennsylvania. There's a popular one called Wagner's Gap. And they get lots of golden eagles. And then you get dozens more moving up into New England and even over to the Great Lakes. So there's probably 200 hawkwatch sites in North America at least. Some of them are very popular, like ours. They get high numbers. Some of them they don't get high numbers. Anyone can start a hawkwatch and start recording data, and that's always encouraged. But the real goal is to repeat that year after year after year, so you can look at your numbers and do statistical analysis on it and try and get an idea of population. That's one of the main goals.
Of course, one of the most famous is Hawk Mountain, which is a sanctuary in Pennsylvania, which has had probably the longest record of counts, I would guess.
Yeah,
they've been at
they're
it
the original.
a long time, and that's.
Okay, so my question was, do certain raptors have a particular flight pattern?
Sure, yeah. I mean, we have about 12 or 13 species of raptors that fly through here. It's easy to spot a raptor. You count it, there's one raptor, but then to identify it is a whole different level of hawk watching. And that's where you need several years of experience to learn. Because each raptor species, they have methods, they have special field marks of how they move, how their shape, their silhouette is very important. How they fly, it's kind of like, I like to think of it as like you're going down a street at night and you see several people walking across the block down in front of you, and through the darkness you can say, wait a minute, he looks like my neighbor Ralph. He's tall and thin, he's got that little limp, And so you get to learn those little nuances about each species. So this osprey, for example, was very long, elegant wings that were bowed like this, alongside of a black and white contrasting colors. And then when you see the combinations and it all comes together, then you end up with a positive ID. So lots of times we'll be scanning and watching a raptor for minutes and minutes, and we're undecided till the very end. And that's why it helps to get other people on the bird, and you can discuss it and have a nice conversation about it sometimes.
And sometimes there are arguments over what the bird is.
No, it's just a conversation.
I remember one time, which I was the compiler actually. So I was writing them down, and one fellow, two of the ones that are very difficult to differentiate until you learn how to do it are the Cooper's hawk and the sharp-shinned hawk. Both of those accipiters are very numerous here, and I called it a Cooper's hawk. And the other fellow who was sitting next to me said, no, that's a sharp-shinned hawk. And I said, no, it is. But then I wrote it down, and he says, oh, that's a wrong one in the record.
Yeah. But yeah, those two are hard to tell apart. So, but a lot of them are easier, like the bald eagle, for example.
Right.
That's pretty easy. So you do your best. We do our best up here, and that's all we can do. And if we can't identify it, we still record it as an unidentified raptor, or an unidentified eagle, for example. So we're completely honest. We don't guess. We don't want to guess. We don't put it down as a species unless we're sure. So if we're unsure, we just mark it down as undecided.
Well, what's great fun about this, in my view, is the thrill when you really get terrific looks at these birds going over, and it's worth the effort and energy that you put into it, and it's exciting. It's just great time.
Yeah, people come from all over. We got a nice list of visitors from out of state even, especially for this week. This is our peak week for Broadwing, so we're still waiting for the big push of thousands, and it could be this afternoon if the fog lifts, or maybe tomorrow. But we're here to enjoy it and also to record it and have some fun and camaraderie.
Well, gentlemen, this has been a pleasure. Thank you for sharing your knowledge, your enthusiasm for bird watching with us. And Alan, I appreciate your time, and maybe in a couple of years we'll do another video.
Absolutely, Yolita. It's a real pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Come on up and visit anytime.